Jean Alesi. This guy had Formula One in the palm of his hand. In 1990, after a breakout debut season with Tyrrell, both Williams and Ferrari came knocking. Williams had the fastest car on the grid, Adrian Newey engineering magic, and a future built for titles. Ferrari, on the other hand, had history, chaos and politics, but they also had charm. Alesi went with his heart. He signed with Ferrari. That decision defined and doomed his career. Over the next 5 seasons, he became a cult hero, aggressive, passionate, always pushing. But the car rarely delivered. Mechanical failures, team blunders, and poor development turned potential podiums into DNFs. Meanwhile, Williams dominated the 90s with multiple titles and superstar drivers like Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost. Alesi scored just 1 win in 201 races, Canada 1995, when everything finally clicked. That moment was emotional. Schumacher even gave him a ride back to the pits. But it was also a reminder of what should have been. Senna once said Alesi was championship material, but loyalty, emotion and timing turned that trajectory into a tragedy. He never saw a top-tier car again. And while fans remember the passion, the raw truth is, Alesi chose Ferrari when he should have chosen his future, Nelson Piquet Jr. He came into Formula One carrying a legacy, son of a 3-time world champion, backed by talent, backed by Renault. And in 2008, he made a decision that erased all of it. Singapore Grand Prix, lap 14. Piquet crashes into the wall in a suspiciously perfect spot. No injuries, no blocking, just enough to bring out a safety car. His teammate, Fernando Alonso, had just pitted. With the field slowed down, Alonso jumped to the front and won. The move looked genius, until a year later when Piquet got dropped by Renault and exposed the whole plan. He told the FIA he was ordered to crash on purpose. Renault denied it. The scandal exploded. Team boss Flavio Briatore and engineer Pat Simons were banned. Renault's reputation tanked, but Piquet? He never recovered. He'd already lost form on track. Now he lost trust off it. No team wanted the PR storm. No sponsor wanted his name. He went from racing in Formula One to fighting for redemption in NASCAR and Formula E. Daniil Kvyat. He climbed through Toro Rosso, scored a podium with them, and by 2015 he was sitting in a top seat, partnering Daniel Ricciardo at Red Bull Racing. That year, he even outscored Ricciardo in the standings. But in 2016, everything flipped on its head. Just 4 races into the season, Kvyat collided with Sebastian Vettel twice in the opening lap of the Russian Grand Prix. Red Bull didn't wait. They demoted him to Toro Rosso the very next week. Max Verstappen took his seat and won his debut race with Red Bull in Spain. The message was brutal. Kvyat was out. Verstappen was in. The pressure crushed him. His confidence collapsed. On track, he struggled to find rhythm. Off track, the media had a field day. Red Bull kept him on through 2017, but he was eventually dropped, then briefly brought back in 2019, then dropped again. He became the poster child for Red Bull's unforgiving driver system. One mistake at the wrong time, one superstar waiting in the wings, and a career that never had a chance to recover. Kvyat had pace, he had podiums, but that one race, and the reaction to it, turned his Red Bull dream into a cautionary story still discussed today. Andrea de Casaris. His early career showed flashes of brilliance. Youngest driver to start a race at the time. From the start, he built a reputation that overshadowed everything else. He crashed. A lot. By 1982, he racked up a record-breaking crashes in a single season. Sponsors started calling him De Crasheris, and it stuck. McLaren dropped him after just 1 year, despite potential. Over the next decade, he bounced between teams. Alfa Romeo, Ligier, Minardi, Jordan, always fast, always willing to push, but never consistent and never trustworthy. His biggest problem wasn't politics or loyalty. It was decision-making behind the wheel, risky overtakes, reckless defending, crashing when points were in sight. Teams couldn't afford to trust him for long. By 1994, he made a final cameo with Sauber after Karl Wendlinger's accident. But the damage to his reputation had long been done. No top team came calling. No redemption arc ever materialised. He ended with 208 Grand Prix starts, fifth most all-time when he retired, but not a single win. A career defined not by one contract decision, but by hundreds of split-second choices that went wrong. Takuma Sato, he didn't just drive fast, he attacked corners, opponents, and entire race weekends with a relentless aggression that made him a fan favourite and a team principal's nightmare. Sato joined F1 with Jordan in 2002 and soon earned a factory Honda-backed seat at Bar alongside Jenson Button. On his day, he was electric, third place at Indianapolis in 2004, memorable charges through the field. But that aggression came with a cost. His decision-making behind the wheel earned him a reputation for taking unnecessary risks. The most infamous moment? Spa 2005. Sato launched a desperate dive bomb into Michael Schumacher's Ferrari, causing a collision that shocked even hardened F1 veterans. It wasn't a one-off. Sato regularly pushed too hard, braking late, lunging when patience was needed. Honda, desperate for a lead driver, eventually lost faith. He stayed on as part of the Super Aguri project, a team with heart but no pace, and disappeared into the backmarkers. By 2008, he folded mid-season. No other team wanted the risk, even with his speed and Honda backing. Jacques Villeneuve. He was Indy 500 winner, kart champion, F1 world champion by his second season, and then he made a move that derailed everything. He stayed loyal to a team built around him, even when it was sinking. After winning the 1997 title with Williams, he joined British American Racing, a brand new team launched in 1999 with big money, big promises, and his manager as the team boss. He believed he could lead them to glory from the ground up. What followed was one of the worst debut seasons in F1 history. 0 points, constant breakdowns, and a car that barely held together. But Villeneuve stuck with it. For 5 years. While his rivals chased better seats and title shots, Jacques dug deeper into a project that never came close to competing. By the time Bar finally showed improvement, after a Honda buy-in and major restructuring, Villeneuve had already lost his edge. The team moved on. He bounced between Renault and Sauber for short stints, but his prime had long passed. He turned down offers from bigger teams, held on to Bar like it was a destiny play, and paid for it with the second half of his career. Romain Grosjean. After a rough start in 2009, he came back stronger with Lotus in 2012 and looked like a future winner. He took podiums, challenged the frontrunners, and even outpaced Kimi in raw speed by the end of their run together. Then came the choice that defined his career, signing with Haas for their F1 debut in 2016. The first season looked promising. Grosjean scored points right out of the gate, but behind the scenes, Haas was a fragile operation. By 2019, the car was undrivable. Strategy fell apart. Development stalled. Still, Grosjean stayed. He turned down interest from other teams and doubled down on a project that had stopped moving forward. The mistakes piled up. Radio rants went viral. Crashes and mechanical failures became routine. His confidence took a hit, and so did his reputation. As new talent flooded the grid, Grosjean faded from the spotlight. By 2020, Haas announced both their drivers were out. Grosjean's final race ended with a terrifying fireball crash in Bahrain. He survived with burns, but his F1 career was done. He was once tipped to be a race winner. Instead, he spent 5 seasons waiting for a breakthrough that never came. Pascal Wehrlein. In 2016, he debuted with backmarker manner. He impressed, scored their only point of the season. When Nico Rosberg retired, rumours swirled that Wehrlein might get the Mercedes seat. Then came the first twist. Mercedes picked Valtteri Bottas instead. Still, Wehrlein stayed loyal. Sauber offered him a multi-year deal. He turned it down, waiting for Mercedes to find a better opening. Instead, Mercedes sent him to Sauber on a short-term basis, and then backed out entirely. In 2017, he outscored teammate Marcus Ericsson 5-0. But it didn't matter. Sauber chose Ferrari Jr. Charles Leclerc for 2018. Mercedes had no more F1 seats to offer. Pascal was out of the sport at 23. He didn't crash. He didn't cause controversy. He just bet on the wrong timing and trusted that his performance would be enough to keep doors open. It wasn't. After that, he bounced to Formula E and became a front-runner there. But in F1, the window closed fast. One declined contract, one miscalculated weight, and a career that stalled before it even got started. Robert Kubica. He won in Canada with BMW Sauber in 2008, led the championship for part of that season, and had teams like Ferrari circling. By 2010, he was back in a competitive Renault and showing flashes of title-contending form. Then came the crash. In early 2011, during a rally in Italy, he suffered massive injuries to his right arm. His F1 career paused overnight. Multiple surgeries, years of rehab, and limited movement in his hand made a return seem impossible. But Kubica kept fighting. By 2019, the impossible happened. He was back. Williams gave him a seat alongside rookie George Russell. It was supposed to be a redemption arc. Instead, it turned into a slow, painful fall. The car was the worst on the grid. The gap to Russell was huge. Races turned into survival tests. Kubica did score a point, Germany 2019, but only after penalties to others. By the end of the season, it was clear. The magic was gone. The comeback was inspirational, but it blurred the legacy. Instead of being remembered as one of the most gifted drivers of his era, Kubica became the face of a struggling team and an experiment that didn't work. Timo Glock. After an impressive run in GP2, he returned in 2008 with Toyota and immediately made waves. Podiums, top 5 finishes, and a near win in Singapore showed he had the skill. Then Toyota pulled the plug, literally. At the end of 2009, the entire team withdrew from Formula One. That's when Glock made the decision that ended his chances. He signed with Virgin Racing. The team was brand new, underfunded, and wildly unprepared. Their car was designed using only computer simulations and showed up late to pre-season testing. From the first lap, it was clear. This project wasn't going anywhere. Still, Glock stayed. For 3 more seasons, he qualified at the back of the grid and fought to stay within 107% of pole time. The podiums were gone. The battles were gone. Even midfield was out of reach. By the time better seats opened up, Glock was no longer part of the conversation. He had the resume. He had the experience, but the years spent trying to build a miracle out of Virgin, and later Marussia drained all momentum from his F1 career. In the end, the guy who once diced with Hamilton in Brazil 2008 spent his final laps hoping to finish ahead of Caterham. 1 choice, 3 years, 0 way back. So now you've seen careers crumble from team gambles, internal politics, loyalty traps, and flat-out chaos. But here's the question. Who's the next rising star one decision away from vanishing? Could we already be watching a future champion walk off the cliff without knowing it? Share your thoughts in the comments section below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.